Hi, I'm Clyde Kilough, and this is Verse by Verse, a short podcast all about exploring the insights and lessons of the inspired Word of God. Today we're in the book of Psalms, chapter 104, which is entirely devoted to the author musing on the greatness of God. Toward the end of the chapter, in the next to last verse, verse 34, the author expresses his hope that, "May my meditation be sweet to him. I will be glad in the Lord." The word sweet in Hebrew means pleasant, pleasing, or pleasurable. So the contemporary English version reads, "I hope my thoughts will please you, because you're the one who makes me glad." I find that statement quite interesting to be inserted into this psalm because at first read it doesn't seem to fit. For 33 verses, he has been praising God and then suddenly switches to interject a personal reflection like, "I hope my meditation, my line of thinking is something God is really pleased with." But on further thought, I think it is something that can be instructive to us. Consider this. The author of this psalm obviously put a lot of time first into simply thinking about God. You can't write this much, this well, this descriptively, without giving it a lot of thought. He obviously considered, how can I describe all these many qualities of God? And then how can I turn those thoughts into words praising and honoring and worshiping Him? Verse after verse, he so beautifully and metaphorically describes many of God's qualities of power and incredible creativity, His kindness toward humanity and the rest of His creation, His wisdom and glory. So when he called it his meditation, that was exactly the correct word. Meditation is deep contemplation, musing, pondering, a concentrated, studied reflection on something. And what greater, deeper subject can we think about than God Himself? But then, after working to express all of his thoughts, it's as though he has an overwhelming sense of how inadequate he was as a mere mortal to try to capture in his limited human vocabulary the greatness of God. So he offers this hope that God, who knows our hearts, even though we may not be adequately able to express all that we feel, that God is happy with his thinking. You know, I picture in my mind that when he was praying to God, he might have said something like, "I wish I could express in a better way or more fully all that I'm thinking, but I just pray that what I'm thinking is something that is very pleasing to you." And then later, when he actually wrote down these thoughts in this poetic fashion, he phrased it, "May my meditation be sweet to him." I guess that's how I envision this because, well, that's how I have felt from time to time. Have you ever felt that way? If you have ever spent any time at all reflecting on God's greatness, I suspect that you have had the sense from time to time that words just fail me. It's hard to express completely to God the awe that we sense for His magnificence, His glory. Well, what do you think God might feel at times like that? Times when He sees us thinking about Him, appreciating Him, expressing our love toward Him. Well, consider how often God must hear His name used in vain every minute of the day. He hears so much people connecting His name with cursing at other people, or even cursing at Him in anger, blaming Him for things gone wrong. Or how often does He hear His name rendered meaningless with what is really a rude cliche that I won't even dignify except by its initials, OMG. What's your name? How would you feel if it was your name that you were hearing on the lips of millions of people every day as they cursed or used you as a shallow type of epithet? The almighty holy God of the universe deserves more than that. And don't you think that when He sees someone really meditating, not just thinking about for a few seconds, but meditating, contemplating, about Him in such a positive manner as the psalmist was doing, that is indeed something that is such a contrast to the rest of the world, and that has to be very sweet or pleasing to Him. Meaningful meditation is one of the great ways of giving God the honor and respect due His name. Well, this is one of the great lessons that I pull not only from this chapter, but from this one verse, that in putting ourselves in an environment of quiet, uninterrupted time where we focus and concentrate and just think deeply about God, that's so important. And it's also natural during those times to talk with Him about what we're thinking, to praise and honor Him. And like the psalmist, even though we may feel inadequate to completely express all that we feel, I think we can be sure that such meditation is something very sweet and pleasing to our God.
Verse by Verse is a companion podcast to the Daily Bible Verse blog, which you can find on the Life, Hope, and Truth Learning Center. Check out the show notes for more.